Welcome to Positive Atheism English Channel. Today I am going to read out you the ancient Indian materialism written by Samaram, a famous atheist. India has an immemorial and hoary tradition of rationalism, free thought and atheism. Materialism is the basic concept for ancient atheism. It is as ancient as the Indian philosophy. It was deeply rooted in the speculative philosophy. An atheist, according to Hindu tradition, is not just one that denies the existence of God, but also one that defies the Vedic authority. Samakya had its roots on pure philosophic speculation of Prakriti and Purusha without any reference to Ishvara, that is God. Kapila is considered the founder of this system of rational philosophy, which is based on Swabhava and Parinama. Samkhya, which was atheistic, gradually was colored by theism by theists. They smuggled God into it, which was made supreme spirit above Prakriti and Purusha. The followers of Mimamsa swore so much by Vedic ritual that they felt no need for God. They believed that chanting of mantras would produce certain effects. So, for them, the devas of the Vedas had only verbal significance and no separate existence. The Nyaya school founded by Gautama was also rationalistic. Kannada, the founder of the Vaisheshika school, believed in the existence of atoms. But the latter advocates of these two systems, Nyaya and Vaisheshika, imported God and made them theistic. Charvaka and Lokayata schools of philosophy also flatly denied the existence of God and belittled God's importance in shaping human affairs. The Lokayata system is considered as the concerted materialistic philosophy in ancient India. Krishna Mishra, a contemporary of Gautam Buddha, opined that in Lokayata Darshana, only perpetual evidence is authority. The elements are earth, water, fire, and air. Matter can think. There is no other world. Death is the end of all. Jaina and the Buddhist schools of thought developed wide aloof from Vedic tradition. Their greatest exponents like Gunaratna and Santarakshita put forward convincing arguments to disprove the existence of God. Thus, India is not only a land of religion but also of atheism. History reveals that there were unbelievers in the ancient India even in the days of the Upanishads. Even before the advent of the Buddha, there was an atheist tradition known as Gnostics, No Sayas, Nihilists, Sangaya, the Agonists, Purana Kashyapa, Maskaren Gosala, Ajay Kasam Kamblim, and others were non-believers. Even Ramayana, the Hindu epic, refers to Jabali, a skeptic. The later Upanishads and the old Buddhist books contain many references of the heretics who denied existence of God. Brihaspati was an icon of this school of thought. Charvakas and Lokayatas condemned superstitions and the Hindu orthodoxy. They challenged the concept of rebirth, soul, and religious practices. These ancient atheists challenged the authority of Vedas and the Upanishads. They spread Gnostic movement for far and wide and challenged the supremacy of the Brahmins. Later, Mahavira and the Buddha carried forward the unbelief in a refined manner. Buddha made God unnecessary through his teachings. He claimed enlightenment but not inspiration. He never pretended that a God was speaking through him. He founded the Buddhism without reference to God. The positive materialist content of Buddhism was very popular in India for nearly 1,000 years. Unlike Jainism and Buddhism, Samkhya, Charvaka, and Lokayata did not enjoy royal patronage. They were simply rationalistic, materialistic, and atheistic. Their followers were vilified, excommunicated, and hounded out. Manu, Indian lawgiver, gave an injunction that a Nastika should be driven out of good society. Their manuscripts were destroyed. Now we know about them and their philosophy not in their writings, but in those of their opponents and vilifiers. But even those fragments reveal that they were bold free thinkers. The theists could not ignore them as the free thought of these atheists had a strong support which had to be faced theoretically. Atheism had strong roots in the traditional Indian wisdom. According to Devi Prasad Chattopadhyaya, the leading researcher on ancient Indian atheism, the overwhelming majority of the accredited exponents of major philosophical views were committed atheists. He reiterates, they were not simply indifferent to the question of God, as some of the early Greek philosophers perhaps were. The Indian philosophers, on the contrary, faced the problem of God with all the seriousness they were capable of, and they reached the reasoned conviction that his existence could be admitted only at the cost of clear logic. Such a situation is really unique. It has hardly any parallel in the history of world philosophy. The traditional Indian atheism is essentially ancient and medieval. Atheism represented an extensive area of clear agreement among the traditional Indian philosophers. In spite of their commitment to atheism, these philosophers represented diverse worldviews. Atheism in India had to develop with a peculiar self-sufficacy of its own. The philosophers had to defend atheism as atheism, that is, without necessarily allowing it to be inextricably mixed up with the other preoccupations. For Lokaytas, atheism found part of a clear and consistent materialistic outlook. They denied God in order to make room for the doctrine of the exclusive reality of the material elements. It was true more or less in the case of Sankhya philosophers. The Indian philosophers did their best to prove that, logically speaking, God was only an illusion, and they were greatly successful in their efforts. Theism and atheism represented for them extremely clear-cut philosophical positions that God is a simple superstition, an empty assumption, and an object of misdirected reverence. Devi Prasad Chattopadhyaya, while summing up the real status of God in Indian philosophy, said, "Of all our major philosophies, only the Vedanta and specifically the later version of the Nyaya Vaisesika were theistic. By contrast, Buddhism, Jainism, Purva Mimamsa, Samkhya, Lokayata and Nyaya Vaisesika in its original form were philosophies of committed atheism." Thus, the stupendous importance of atheism in Indian wisdom can be questioned only by disallowing the largest majority of the significant Indian philosophers representing it. And here ends our article, Ancient Indian Materialism, which was written by Sri Lavanam, a famous atheist. Thank you.
For more videos, please subscribe to our Positive Atheism English Channel, presented by Samaram channels, which has crossed more than 20 crore views. Please like, subscribe and share our videos. And for notification of our new videos, please click the bell icon.